is that all these radiometric dating methods, they all rely on assumptions about the initial conditions, how much uranium and lead there was to begin with. They assume that the decay rate is constant. We now have very compelling evidence that it's not, and that the system is closed, and in most cases it isn't. And so that's why you get all kinds of rather crazy results when you do these things. And by the way, we've dated rocks from Mount St. Helens, and radiometric dating is supposed to tell you when the rock hardened. That sets the 0 point on the clock, okay? And so these are brand new rocks. Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980. There were some follow-up eruptions. We took rocks that were brand new from that eruption and sent them in and had them radiometrically dated, which would normally be a ridiculous thing to do because it's expensive, and we know when these rocks form because we saw them form. But we wanted to know if the method was reliable. And you know, they came back with estimated ages of hundreds of thousands to millions of years on rocks that are brand new. You say, that's an isolated incident. It's not. If you go to Hawaii and take a rock from Hawaii, send it in and have it dated, you'll get millions of years, very consistently. So radiometric dating has been demonstrated to not work on rocks of known age, and yet secularists assume it works on rocks of unknown age. Now, I don't think that's very scientific.
The argument about Mount St. Helens, that the rocks that were newly formed were aged millions of years, even though they were only, what, a couple of days old or whatever the case may be. How do they know, though, that the rock that came up from the Earth wasn't, in fact, millions of years old? So it's possible that even though it was just formed, it could have come from material. Like, how do you argue that? Because I've gotten that debate that it was actually in the ground and was millions of years old and then came up and formed a rock. How do you even approach that question?
Okay, yeah, you need to give them a little lesson on how radiometric dating works. I can tell you that nobody knowledgeable of the field would make that argument, because you can dip your stick in the magma, and the rock hardens. That's what's measured. People have said, well, maybe, because the elements are older than that. That's what it's detecting. No, because when it's magma, you see the elements can move. It's fluid. They can move in and out. It's only when it becomes rock, it's only when it hardens that the daughter product is then trapped in that system. Okay, and so I think with the ones, I think they used the potassium argon method with the rocks from Mount St. Helens. Argon's a gas, so if it's a liquid, it's just going to bubble right out of there. It's only once it hardens that gas is somewhat trapped in the rock. Now, gas can leak through rocks over time too, but it's somewhat trapped. It's only when it hardens that's the case. And they sent in more than one. They sent in several rocks that were pulled right out of the magma. We saw them form, so they're brand new, but you get estimated ages of millions of years.
Under the earth and then became heated and turned into magma?
Well, it could have been, but once it becomes magma, that resets the age, because the argon can leak right through the magma.